Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Haunted America. Today's episode, we're not necessarily talking about a haunted place, but more of a creature haunting a place. On today's episode, we talk about the history of Louisiana's werewolf, the Rougarou. If you have a haunting story that you would like shared on the next episode of America's Encounters, you can email us that story at hauntedamericapodcast@gmail.com. That's hauntedamericapodcast@gmail.com. So, I just moved to Louisiana. And this is me talking. This isn't part of the story. I just moved to Louisiana. So naturally, I decided to research some of the more haunted locations in Louisiana, and I stumbled across the Rougarou. I actually stumbled across it by going to the New Orleans Zoo, and they have a whole little exhibit dedicated to the Rougarou. You go there and they have this big old werewolf sitting in this little dark corner with like children bones and everything at its feet. It's pretty creepy looking. So they had a little plaque there kind of describing what it was, and I decided to, when I got home, I would do some more research on it, and I quickly decided I wanted to do an episode on it. So here we go. This is from thepelicanstateofmind.com. Louisiana history of the Rougarou, Louisiana's werewolf. The full moon hangs high over the Louisiana swampland. The bright lights of the stars flicker in the murky licks of the waves near the towering, ominous cypress trees. Frogs croak their songs in the distance and mosquitoes buzz as they fly around looking for their next meal. There's a howl in the near distance. It sounds like a wolf, but something is a little off. Standing on two legs on top of a fallen moss-covered tree is a large, snarling beast. It throws its head back, letting out a blood-curdling howl to the moon. That's no werewolf, though. That's what we in Louisiana call the Rougarou. When traveling down the interstates or back roads in Louisiana, you'll see a lot of beautiful scenery. Remnants of history freckle the map, whether it's old and potentially haunted buildings, abandoned theme parks, or even museums with some strange collections. But back in the thick fog-covered swamplands is where you'll find the true beauty of Louisiana, and perhaps even a monster or two, including the legendary beast called the Rougarou. The history of the Rougarou is centuries old and has many different origins, but the earliest mention of the infamous mythical Louisiana werewolf comes from medieval France. Back in the day of armor, swords, and jousting, there was a lot more to fear than the plague and witches. Beasts called loups-garous, which means werewolves in French, were also infamous throughout the country. Back in the 16th century, they'd regularly blame various crimes on loups-garous. Apparently, that was a thing they just did back then. Did your house get ransacked during the night? Loups-garou. Did a child disappear from the village without a trace? Definitely a loups-garou. Personally, I'd never hear about something terrible and say, yeah, that's definitely the work of a werewolf. Case closed. That's definitely an interesting problem to have and deal with centuries ago. Makes the morning commute not seem so bad, right? The villagers would capture people they believed to be a loups-garou and hold a public trial. This seems like the witch trials. What? The Salem witch trials type thing going on back in France back in the day, but with Rougarous, or loups-garous is what they call them, with an L instead of an R. Usually they'd find someone in the woods or go to someone in the village who was just acting strange. So they just find somebody like browsing about the woods. And be like, oh, that's that damn werewolf guy. Interesting. The court would ask the public if they believed the accused to be a Lougarou, and usually the public agreed, mainly for the fear that they'd be outed as a witch or a Lougarou themselves. Lougarous became fear for many people in the country, leading them to earning their place in legend passed down to children. The French Catholics claimed that you would be turned into a Lougarou if you did not follow the rules of Lent for 7 consecutive years. There was also a story that was told to kids that if they didn't do what their parents asked, a Lougarou would come and steal them away in the middle of the night. A funny little story, and offhand here. So I grew up in like rural New York, kind of near the Pennsylvania line. So we have a lot of Amish people in the town where I grew up, right? And as a kid growing up, I would always be threatened with getting taken away by the Amish. My dad would always threaten to just drop me off at the Amish house down the road or something. So that's kind of what I'm comparing this to. You know, werewolf, Amish, same thing. Just kidding. Nobody come at me for that. When many of the French migrated to Canada and the southern United States, they took the legend of the Rougarou with them. And this one is titled Cajun Country and the Legend of the Rougarou. Since the migration, many of the legends began to change and match the times of the dialect. Since Cajun dialect is a mix of French and English, and well known for changing words to completely roll off the tongue easier, the name of the beast changed from Lougarou to Rougarou. In the swamps within the greater New Orleans area and the Acadiana is where the beast has come to live. He might even be the neighbors with the Honey Island swamp monster, also known as Louisiana's Bigfoot of the swamp. Cajun legend says that the beast hunts down Catholics who don't follow the rule of Lent, which is similar to the telling of the old French stories. Another telling of the story says that the Rougarou is under a 101-day curse unless the affected person can transfer the curse to another human. Their curse usually comes from a local witch, sometimes a voodoo priestess. It is said that you can protect yourself against the Rougarou by laying 13 small objects by your doors. Apparently, when a person changes into a Rougarou, they forget how to count past 12, probably since they only worry about midnight and the moon at this point. The Rougarou will see the 13 objects and try to count them, and be unable to count them all. This will perplex it, and will keep it recounting until the sun comes up and it must flee. That's okay. Despite the fact that it was originally a legend, there are still claimed sightings of the Rougarou to this day, though it has died off a bit in the past decade. The beast is also a hit in pop culture here in Louisiana. There's an annual Rougarou festival in Houma every year. Okay, pause really quick. Gage, there's a Rougarou festival in Houma? Did you know about this? But Houma's not that far away. Okay, well, we're not talking about Slaughter, Louisiana. We're talking about Houma and the Rougarou. How far away is Houma? I know it's not that far. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Hold on here. Hold on, boys. Hold on, chat. Houma. 49 miles. Yeah, okay, it's an hour and 25 minutes. That's not bad. We might be going to the Rougarou festival this year. Come on now. The Rougarou festival. Let's look this up. As of the time of recording, it is August 5th, 2025. Rougarou festival. It's a free, family-friendly festival with a spooky flair that celebrates the rich folklore that exists along the bayous of the southeast. It is called Rougarou Fest. Oh, sweet. Look, October 17th to the 19th in Houma, Louisiana. 72 days, 15 hours, 47 minutes, and 15 seconds. 14 seconds, 13 seconds. They got a counter on this thing. That is pretty dang cool. Okay, so maybe you guys stay tuned to the Haunted America YouTube channel. Maybe we go to the Rougarou Festival and I go live. Okay, rant over. Let's read the rest of this. The beast is also a hit in pop culture here in Louisiana. There's an annual Rougarou festival in Houma every year, and the Audubon Zoo in New Orleans has a Rougarou exhibit. And that's what led me to doing this whole episode here, which includes a statue of the creature in all its swampy glory. The New Orleans Pelicans had originally thought about changing their name to Hornets to the Rougarous at one point. From the Hornets to the Rougarous? They were going to that's their basketball team down here, right? New Orleans Pelicans. They were going to name themselves the Rougarous. Have you guys ever heard of the Rougarou or any other scary cryptid besides like Bigfoot? Because Bigfoot's like the most known. If you guys listen on Spotify or YouTube, drop down in the comments. Let me know if you guys have heard of any other cryptids, folklore, stuff like that, and if you guys would want me to possibly cover some of that in the future on future episodes. And that is all the time we have for today's episode of Haunted America. If you guys have any ghost stories you would like shared on the podcast, you can email us those stories at hauntedamericapodcast@gmail.com. That's hauntedamericapodcast@gmail.com. While I have you guys here, if you don't mind, please rate and review the podcast on whatever platform you are listening on. And until the next time, I'm your host, Dalton Taylor, and this has been Haunted America.